LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight was developed by TT Games and published by Warner Bros. Games in collaboration with DC Comics. The game budget has not been publicly disclosed, but the game has sold approximately 1.2 million copies, putting its revenue somewhere in the neighborhood of $83 million. I'm fond of this game, and I'm here to chat. Hadouken! Batman is one of the most important intellectual properties to me, so whenever something gets made that affects the current perception of how the character and things around it would be perceived by the populace, I tend to pay attention. Obviously enough, this is a LEGO game, so the overall seriousness of the brush taken to color the larger image of what the Batman is to his core is not going to have a ton of weight behind it. But just as much, LEGO games have a decent amount of reach to the casual consumer on top of the hardcore audience. This game finds itself truly being a blender of ideas incorporating bits of popular Batman media over 60 plus years of the character existing. This game is looked at as a love letter to all things Batman, and more or less it's exactly what I asked for. Regarding the combat and exploration of the game, what you do, you still have the basic ideas of how to navigate pure level design, leaning itself more into the LEGO side of its DNA, using things like character-specific abilities to progress you forward, but the general exploration in Gotham proper and the combat of the game is much closer to an Arkham title. The basics of the combat are striking, countering, and evading / stealth. There isn't a ton more detail to go into above that because of the target ranges of the audience. Sure, someone such as myself would be aware of the Arkham style combat, but I'm on the older side of the demographic. It can't reach the furthest pillars of, in my eyes, how the combat should feel, because just as much as this game is for someone like me, it's equally targeted at a younger audience, potentially being one of their first introductions to the character. In that regard, it's completely sufficient. As stated, you have access to character-specific abilities within any given combat encounters. So for instance, you can use Batman's grapple to bring enemies to you and input a follow-up, things of that nature. The last thing to really mention as far as the basics is your super meter. This is essentially the finishing strikes that you would have for instant takedowns, much in the same vein as the Arkham games. This also feels back into the LEGO DNA of the game, because when you perform a takedown, you'll be awarded a heart piece that will replenish your stocks of life. All of this is completely serviceable and is well considered alongside of the game at the end of the day being a LEGO game. I can't stress this enough, this is a LEGO game, it's not an Arkham game. With that said though, I did feel the game's basic combat was generally lacking a bit of impact when your attacks would connect, and the cycle of the takedown animations became a bit too repetitive after a while. A couple more animations for each character takedowns would have been a nice inclusion, because you should go for them when you have the ability to do so, especially with the utility that they have paired with them. Exploring Gotham proper is more than fine. I didn't really have any problems with it. It was very cool to see all the different types of vehicles you could use to traverse LEGO Gotham. This expands to more than just the different types of Batmobiles. I particularly got a good chuckle when using Barbara's moped. Wait, we have a moped? Oh, that's hilarious. What the fuck do you mean there's a booster on it? I tried to glide around as much as I could in the environment due to some of the tighter corners and tucked away locations that you would have to venture to, but I would switch to the Batmobile if I had to go to different islands of the map. I like the Batmobile, but my fondness of the gliding in the Arkham games influenced my willingness to do so in this game, even if the gliding here didn't feel as good. The main thing it was really lacking was the feeling of speed that you gain compared to the Arkham inspiration. The game does choose to take a note from Spider-Man 2, having wind tunnels strewn throughout Gotham to help you pick up speed and get back to your max velocity. Now regarding the fast travel, I didn't use it. Fast travel is something I tend to shy away from as much as possible unless the scale of the environment is massive, which in this case, it's not. Why would I choose to ignore the space in between where I am and where I need to go when there's as much consideration as there is? I would have to really not like the space I was navigating to choose to actively ignore it in that way. The story is somehow the thing I want to talk about the most, but also the least. Regarding the narrative of this game, it's hard for me to say that there exactly is one. It feels less like that we're being told a story to pay attention to, and more so the things that are just kind of happening. Obviously, this comes down to the larger IP of LEGO and the target demographic. This isn't a real negative, more so it's just kinda is what it is. The game is separated into 6 chapters mixed together with various different bits of Batman stories, Frankenstein together into one not so cohesive package. Chapters 0 through 1 takes a majority of its inspiration from Batman Begins and Batman 89, as well as interweaving the Red Hood gang into the what's happening. My mind also goes to Batman New 52, but there's more versions of the Red Hood gang than just that one, but it's the first thing I thought of. The what it takes from Batman Begins is how he gains the inspiration for the symbol of what Batman should be, the falling down the well, the going off to the League of Shadows in Nanda Parbat, the design of Ra's al Ghul. Yeah, fuck you, I say Ra's.
You're the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, one of the old man's worst enemies from way back. You helped the original Batman fight Raz one last time in the near apocalypse of '09. For the last couple of decades, you've been putting your father's money to work cleaning up the mess he made. Current residence is a 200-acre estate on New Cuba. What? Did you think I was down here playing vid games?
Very thorough, Terry. Though father's name was pronounced Ra's, not Raz.
Also the nature of the relationship with Talia, coming back to Gotham to cave explore, and Carmine Falcone. The Batman 89 energy of Chapter 1 is mostly due to how this game chooses to establish its Joker and the actual design and vocal inspiration for him, at least for now. It sounds exactly like the episode of Teen Titans Go to me. Hashtag not a Teen Titans Go fan. For me, I love this because I'm someone that is much higher on Batman Begins than some of the other people I know are. Not that people around me dislike Batman Begins, I'm just a little higher than most that I know. But this isn't inherently taking all of the things I love about Batman Begins. The things I love are the motivations of the character to be on the path of needing a Batman, and how Gotham demands something in the shape of Batman. Gotham at the time of the movie would reject a man coming to light to heal Gotham because as a man he can be, as stated in the movie, killed or corrupted.
People need dramatic examples to shake them out of apathy, and I can't do that as Bruce Wayne. As a man, I'm flesh and blood. I can be ignored, I can be destroyed, but as a symbol, I can be incorruptible. I can be everlasting.
What symbol?
Something elemental, something terrifying.
Batman in that moment, in that mythos, needs to become a symbol, something that people fear. It's not that the game doesn't do any of this, just due to the tone and structure of a LEGO game, these moments are a little more than glossed over and taken in jest. Sorry, I could talk about Dark Knight movies all day. Regarding Batman 89, obviously the inspiration here is light. You could also intermingle the Batman into the conversation of Chapter 1 due to Falcone also being a player in said movie and, you know, the car scene. You could also associate Gordon's design with the movie simply for the fact that it doesn't resemble Gary Oldman's version of Commissioner Gordon, and the way Commissioner Gordon is largely influenced by whatever the current movie is in popular live-action Batman media. Falcone is a very important piece in both movies, but the impact that he has on the overarching theme of Batman Begins is much greater compared to something like The Batman. Falcone represents one of the many different avenues that all wind up in the same neighborhood of fear.
Don't come down here with your anger, trying to prove something to yourself. This is a world you never understand, and you always fear what you don't understand.
Here's the main theme tied to the narrative of Batman Begins. Ra's is telling Bruce that his enemies should fear him and to use fear as a weapon. Falcone is one of the reasons people in Gotham live in fear. The Scarecrow's power set is tied to making people afraid, and Batman wants to be a symbol that his enemies fear. Yeah, Jack Napier takes the plunge in Ace Chemicals, the Joker's born, yada yada. Chapter 2. Chapter 2 takes a majority of its DNA from both Michael Keaton films with Batman 89 and Batman Returns. Obviously enough, in LEGO games you play as a pair, Batman being the constant and instead of Gordon being your partner fighting crime, in Chapter 2 we have our partner that is crime. We get to play as Catwoman. While Zoe Kravitz is the inspiration for the base model design of Selina Kyle in this game, and also her relationship with Carmine Falcone, the inspiration for the fursuit we see is of course Michelle Pfeiffer's. Michael Keaton's stint as the Batman is one of the more interesting, not because of any of the villains, funnily enough. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy all of the rogues gallery on display in either of these films, but for the fact that this is one of the mainline interpretations where Bruce actually feels like he's struggling with the duality of being Batman and wants more out of his life as Bruce Wayne with Vicky Vale. The only other story that comes to mind where that element is brought out of Batman is Mask of the Phantasm, a element I was sad to see not incorporated into the game, but at the same time, not the end of the world.
I know I made a promise, but I didn't see this coming. I didn't count on being happy.
In Chapter 2, after a gang of mimes began a crime spree across Gotham, Batman and Jim had no choice but to chase them down. Their pursuit led them to Shrek's department store, where Batman meets Catwoman. That's pretty much just more or less word for word what the game said, so I'm gonna go with that. The reason for us being in said location is sheer happenstance. On the back of finishing off the last of the mimes that are after Catwoman, we're in pursuit of the Penguin, because Catwoman picked up a stuffed penguin. I'm starting to get the idea that this game is not meant to be overanalyzed. The Penguin's base of operations is at the Arkham Zoo, and the reason we're here in the first place is because her female intuition is telling her the Penguin is behind the cult of mimes across Gotham. No, I'm not kidding, that's what she literally said. Throughout this level, we have to fight through waves of people being dressed as penguins and robotic suicide bomber penguins. This leads up until we reach the point of, surprise, surprise, Penguin's not our guy. I do love that the shark repellent made a comeback here though. The Joker gang, spoiler, I guess, I don't fucking know. The Joker's gang has hit up stashes where people of the criminal underworld have kept their money, but Batman is still sided with Catwoman because you need a partner in the game. Now, between the card that we are in possession of and the one the Penguin has possession of but is now turned over to us, don't quite match up, and alongside that happen to be printed over another image, which means we have to find the others to complete the image. The third one is hidden in the safe in the junkyard, and the last one is being guarded by the Condiment King, because I don't know why. Once all the cards are collected, it makes a image of a painting at Flugelheim. Flugelheim is a fictional museum that is at Gotham. I actually don't remember hearing this before, but apparently that's just what it is. This is also we can get the scene associated with Batman 89 where Joker is in the museum. As dumb as all of this is, I love this scene. Joker's taking all the money that he stole to give out as bait to poison Gotham with his Joker toxin. Batman and Catwoman put a stop to it, and my boy Harvey Dent gets done real dirty.
Key lime, right in the eye. That monster.
Chapter 3 / kind of Chapter 4's inspiration for the gameplay segment is both Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. But we'll exclude the Riddler and Mr. Freeze from that statement because the Riddler is more of an overarching villain who very simply fits the place that he does in the Arkham games, and Mr. Freeze comes in Chapter 4. Pause. More specifically, this is where we get Robin and or Dick Grayson's origins, which very much falls along with Batman Forever all being catapulted by Two-Face. But Two-Face is really secondary to Poison Ivy in this chapter. The Poison Ivy plot is kicked off by none other than Kite Man, of all people. Kite Man was charmed by Poison Ivy to plant her weeds around Gotham, and we are meant to clean up the aftermath. I'll be honest, the more I analyze the story of this game, if you want to call it that, the more it frustrates me because the potential for what these characters can say in a story is so much bigger than a Lego game is willing to dive into. One of the things that a character like Poison Ivy can tackle is taken on in Arkham Knight. The theme of nature always wins, and that doesn't mean the nature of plants and trees and things like that, but the nature of people. Chapter 4, in its own respect, is more about Mr. Freeze, which also takes on an inspiration from Batman and Robin, which it's Mr. Freeze, he just wants to freeze Gotham, it's kind of his whole thing. I'm going to use this time in Chapter 4 to talk about both Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze is a very dear character to me dating back to Batman the Animated Series. I've said a number of times that Heart of Ice is one of the best episodes to take place in the animated series. Just as much as I've said that a character like Freeze is coming to be as a result of someone trying to do something good in the shape of saving his wife through means that are not that noble is a fantastic conversation to have related to his motivations. He's a character that doesn't have to be inherently evil, which is why I feel like he could be well utilized alongside a character like Poison Ivy. All the more reason why, if the two of them were to get a movie, I would want them to share the screen, giving them a chance to redeem something like a Batman and Robin. I'm fine with the movie for what it is, but I know a lot of people don't like it. The idea of Poison Ivy fighting for something that should be for the good of humanity with her aspirations for plant life, but comes along with the death of humanity, whereas Mr. Freeze is fighting for the death of humanity to turn everything into an icy wasteland, but his true desires are to save humanity, specifically a human life in the shape of his wife. There could be something powerful there if you really want to spend the time to mine something out of it. Anyways, Batgirl and Nightwing beat Mr. Freeze. Chapter 5 and 6. I feel like we can talk about these chapters together because they actually go cohesively together pretty well, more than any of these other chapters. The inspiration here is from The Dark Knight, Batman Arkham Asylum, and The Dark Knight Rises. Arkham Asylum is the most minor of the factors, other than the fact that it recreates the scene of when we actually go there, which I definitely popped off for, and we get Scarecrow for a combat encounter. The Dark Knight and Rises are so good, and I'm really just going to talk more about the movies than I actually am the chapters of the game. But The Dark Knight is supposed to be the direct response to Batman Begins. The Dark Knight, from the perspective of Batman, is supposed to be the first step forward and towards a face that can stand above all the corruption and represents a beacon of light. The first step of putting the power back into the hand of the people of Gotham. The Joker, in this instance, is the foil to all of this. The Joker's purpose is to show that even the guiding light that is on their way to being the best of us can be corrupted and brought down to the level of the scum that they want to put an end to. He is meant to show that in the worst of situations that people will only think about what is the best for them and how evil the common person actually is.
Who did you leave him with? Your people? Assuming, of course, that they are still your people, and not Maroni's.
This scene did make me laugh, though.
Here's a tricky little clue. I'm gonna rob the bank!
While the Joker was right that Harvey would act on his worst impulses and become corrupted, Batman wants to preserve his legacy by attributing everything that Harvey did to himself.
I killed those people. That's what I can be.
No, you can't. You're not.
I'm whatever Gotham needs me to be.
Regarding Bane and Talia, their relationship to Batman and Gotham is still the same. Gotham is a cancer in their eyes and needs to be destroyed. Their goal is to complete the mission Ra's al Ghul left on the cutting room floor, because even at the end of the day, Batman is protecting the corrupt by trying to preserve Harvey's image so he can fight for a world that doesn't need a Batman. Plot twist: Alfred beats the shit out of Bane. Much like the movie, the actual big bad behind everything was Talia. And man, why did they give her such a badass suit? After Talia is defeated, everything wraps up with Kiss from a Rose. Baby, I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the grave. Outside of the brunt of what I've mentioned, there are intermediary crimes that take place which are just random combat encounters to take part in. I look at this as a means of attempting to make Gotham feel alive, even if it's the worst way possible, and would only further push the narrative that someone like Ra's al Ghul is correct. But there's also combat and vehicle trials, Batcave trophies, Wayne Tech caches, and Riddler puzzles meant to give you random shit for the player to do if they felt inclined to do so, which I did not, but to each their own. I'm not a collectathon kind of guy, so I didn't feel like going full completionist in the game because while I liked it, I didn't overwhelmingly love it. The puzzle elements of the game are more or less directly related to the traversal, how each character's unique abilities interact with the environment so you can progress forward to the next fight or cutscene, and in the direction of the combat. And regarding the boss fights, obviously enough, you finish off each chapter with a boss fight to cap things off. This is supposed to give the ultimate versions of what these mechanics represent. Each of the boss fights were fine, and I would even go as far as to say they were decently fun. Due to the structure of these games, I think it would fit better with part of the boss fights being tied to how each villain makes you navigate an environment, much to the same effect that they do leading up to each encounter. One of the things this game chooses not to take from Arkham Knight is the tank-style combat that the Batmobile interweaves into its gameplay. The tank combat encounters is fairly divisive on who you ask, but I'm actually pretty fond of them. It gives the Batmobile a different style of functionality other than just driving you from one place to another, and when you become proficient in the tank encounters, you feel like you reach a flow state, like more or less you've unlocked Ultra Instinct. I understand that with there being a variety of Batmobiles, this would complicate that idea, and it's not like the game is 100% trying to rip its gameplay from Arkham. To be completely honest, talking about the story of the game just made me sad because as much as I'm aware that this is a LEGO game, these characters don't feel like they're treated with the care they deserve and are reduced to caricatures. A majority of the conversations that take place are played for laughs because with the nature of this style of game, it comes much closer to a parody on the original material. I'm fine with jokes, but my way of preserving this for someone like myself is for everything around or that happens to Batman to be comical when it chooses to be, and not have Batman himself being the one to make wisecracks. The relationships of these characters tied to the narrative of the game don't really feel like they have any real binding threads that make any of this work in an actual meaningful way, and relegate itself into having things happen so they can happen. This is so we can see the cool iconic moments. I completely understand that, but it's all just paper thin. The gameplay itself is serviceable, but doesn't reach the ultimate form of anything that it does because you can find better versions of it elsewhere, or maybe you should look at it as watered down or simplified versions of mechanics that exist to fit the package of the game that it's in. Zoomed out, I like this game. I like the LEGO gameplay and level design tied to a character I love so dearly that I've probably spent hundreds of hours talking about. As a Batman fan, this is a fantastic piece of fan fiction where you can see some of your favorite moments take place in one game. So I find myself at a crossroads of looking at this as not one of my favorite games ever and it being a fantastic LEGO game at the very same time. I think my overanalyzing of this game and the things around it was to the detriment of my perception of it. So I won't be giving this game a score. All I'll leave you with is a question. Can you look at something as art when all it is trying to be is lighthearted? Thank you guys for watching. You all know the deal. Check out the description for links to more than just my main channel, but my Twitch and all that, this, that, and the third, my shared channel with my roommate where we have a good time playing games together, and you might just see this game on there as well in the future. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, this was not supposed to be an attack on your character. Don't take it that way. All in all, I still like the game for what it is. It might, in my opinion, be the best LEGO game I've played, but the question at the end of the day still stands. Just remember to keep on fighting and get ready for the next battle. I'll see you all later. Peace.
You know what, Bruce? I'm seeing a lot of love down there. Maybe this is what Gotham needed. Maybe we won't need superheroes after this. Maybe we just...
Hey, I'm walking here! Oh yeah? What you gonna do about it? I'm gonna pop you on the nose! Get it! Let's get to work.